This week was a major week for WWE. This week was a major week if you're a fan of WWE. On Thursday, they announced Eric Bischoff and Paul Heyman will now be the new executive directors of Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live, with Eric Bischoff being associated with SmackDown and Paul Heyman being on the flagship show, Monday Night Raw. I know a lot of people think that WWE is doing things right because they're making a lot of money and that the stocks are nearing $100 per share and they got all these billions of dollars coming in from TV deals from NBC Universal and Fox Sports. But that does not equate to good television. If you're someone like me who watches every single week religiously, you will have seen the decline of quality in WWE as far as Raw and SmackDown go. If you're one of these people that watches these shows on a weekly basis and thinks and then goes on social media and says that nothing is wrong, nothing needs to be changed, the WWE is perfect the way it is right now, A, you're watching the show completely wrong, B, you shouldn't even be watching, period, and C, you are the root of all of WWE's current issues right now. Because when they see shit like that and they hear that from certain people, they don't want to change. And they will not change because then they think that they're doing the right thing. And the direction that they're going in is the right direction. And we know it's not. Now, this move was made clearly for WWE to be set up properly going into Fox Sports in October with SmackDown Live. Fox Sports is going to be the new home of SmackDown Live. I personally can't wait because this company needs something that's going to give it a shot of adrenaline. That may be it. But they're certainly setting themselves up for that move in October. A lot of people within and around the community with this news that broke on Thursday, I covered it. There was not much to talk about as far as news coming out of the story. Obviously, everybody and their mother gave their opinions on the matter. I certainly did for almost an hour with an emergency off the script. If you guys want to go check that out, link will be in the annotation that you see in the top right corner of this very podcast. Everybody within and around the community gave their opinion on this breaking news. Some people, and I do not blame them at all, just don't give a shit. They just don't give a shit. I wouldn't say I don't give a shit because I clearly do, as I've been an advocate for wanting these shows to be better for what seems to be now forever. And I know that they have all the talent in the world and all the brain power to do so, but for some reason they just don't. I have one foot in that boat with you in not giving a shit because that's how WWE television has made me feel. Especially over the last month. Garbage. Unimportant, illogical garbage. That somehow is defended by these apologists and Seth Rollins, who thinks everything is good. I have one foot in that boat in not giving a shit. But like I said, I would not say I don't give a shit completely. I do give a shit. There are people that don't give a shit. There are people who are very cautious. There are people who are like, yeah, that's great, but whatever. And those people I side with the most because there's one glaring thing about this that people really aren't acknowledging. Some people who are overly excited about this, they're like, oh, change is coming. Change is going to be seen on Monday and Tuesday night this coming week. No, not at all. There may never be change in WWE. This move may never come to fruition and never be what you expect it to be. Because there's one glaring fucking issue with this entire thing. And that is Vince McMahon is still in charge. He is still in charge. Both will report directly to WWE Chairman and CEO Vince McMahon. Part of me wants to say, finally, they're doing something right. Finally, they got guys in place that we can trust to take these shows where they need to be. But is that going to be the case? Is that going to be the case? We won't know. We probably won't know until October. I don't think we're going to feel anything on current WWE television right now. I want there to be change. There needs to be change. We will see. Believe me, we will see change on these shows. When and if it happens, you will know. I don't have to come on here and review the shows for you to understand that something different happened, or it felt different, or they went into a different direction. You will know. You will see guys that you haven't seen yet. You will see guys that you haven't seen in like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, up to all the way going back to WrestleMania. You'll see all these different guys just magically appear on television. Then you'll know something's going on internally. Everything you see on TV right now will be replaced with something new, fresh, new matchups. There'll be a different vibe about the show. There'll be a different excitement about the show. Whether you watch it live, whether you see and feel and hear it live, or you just go on social media and hear the buzz and see the buzz on social media. You will know. You don't need me. But somewhere deep down in my core, and I know I'm not the only one who feels this way, does Vince McMahon really get it? Does WWE realize that they need to change? Or is this something that WWE is doing to merely act on whatever AEW is doing? Because they seemingly took all the thunder away from AEW. They got Fyter Fest coming up, Fight for the Fallen's coming up, and then before you know it, All Out will be here in Chicago. WWE knows that AEW is making strides and making steps, and at every turn, WWE is trying to combat AEW, even though people in the company are coming out and saying, we don't really give a shit about AEW. But by every move you make, and especially with this one being the biggest move, does it really signal change? Or is WWE just trying to make a move, act cool, signal to the fans that, we're listening to you and change is on the way? Or is this one of those situations where they're hiring people like Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff for Raw and Smackdown to take the heat away from Vince McMahon? Because right now, I'm sure that man is feeling every ounce of heat directed at him from the fan base. From the people that know the shows are terrible. Are they merely puppets in this game to take the heat away from Vince McMahon? When the shows ultimately continue to fail, we won't be blaming Vince McMahon. Now he has figureheads in place where we can aim our anger and frustration at them instead of Vince. I hope that's not the case. I really hope that is not the case at all. One thing needs to be done here. Vince needs to get out of the way. How much of this could you be excited about, knowing that Vince McMahon is still in charge? I don't want this to be a situation where Heyman and Bischoff go in there and things remain the same because Vince has an ego and he will not allow anybody to come in and override and overstep and overwrite anything that he has planned or in place. That can't be. That's not going to make these shows better. That's not going to set WWE up for competition come October with All Elite Wrestling. There's no way WWE can compete with AEW in its current state. Things need to change. Distinctive rosters need to be seen and felt. These shows need to have separate identities. Raw should have nothing to do with SmackDown Live, and SmackDown Live should have nothing to do with Monday Night Raw. They're both in charge. They both oversee creative completely, meaning that all decisions go through them. Vince gets the final script. He reads over it. He looks over it. If he wants to include something that he's thinking of, then you do that and you talk to your team. You don't take the script and rewrite the whole fucking thing. going on into the 9 o'clock hour, and the shows are still a chaotic mess. You give those two men full creative control to do what they need to do, and you get the fuck out of the way. Simple as that. We need, the WWE needs a distinctive roster for both Raw and SmackDown. Distinctive shows for both Raw and SmackDown. And I failed to mention this on the video I did on Thursday. The McMahon family came out and promised change. We haven't seen that change, and everything was nothing but bullshit. One big lie by the McMahon family. If Shane McMahon is your idea of change, then please, just shut the fuck up and never come on screen again. This needs to be the opposite of that. This needs to be the opposite of that. I don't want to see Paul Heyman on screen unless he's doing something with Brock Lesnar. I don't want Paul Heyman to come out and announce he's the new executive director on Monday Night Raw. I don't want Eric Bischoff, like I seen today, floating around on social media. I don't know if it was doctored by some idiot or the advertisements for the venue that WWE will be in next week are getting a jump on ticket sales and want to sell out the venue. They put Eric Bischoff on the advertisement stating that Bischoff could possibly be on air for SmackDown Live. No. Absolutely not. Eric Bischoff and Paul Heyman do not need to be on-air talents. I don't want them to come out expressing what they are doing in WWE. I don't want them to come out there and promise us something that may never come. I don't want them to say change is coming. These shows are going to look different. That's not needed. That's not needed. Eric Bischoff is a great on-screen character, probably more so than what he's going to offer creatively in his new role. Because that's what I remember Bischoff being, and in that role, he was always great and always somebody that I admired and enjoyed watching. Paul Heyman is on screen anyway with Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar's Mr. Money in the Bank. He's not going anywhere. So Heyman's still going to have a role on TV, but what I'm talking about is authoritative figures. We don't see William Regal. We don't see William Regal on NXT ever. And if we do, it's a backstage segment where he's announcing something coming up in the next couple of weeks, or making a pay-per-view match, or adding a stipulation when it is necessary. The shows aren't built around William Regal. The shows aren't built around the GM down in NXT. They should not be built around Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff going forward. Like Shane McMahon, the shows are built around Shane McMahon. It's not the way it needs to be at all. And that's spanning on Raw and SmackDown, both consecutive nights. And this has been happening for months. We don't need to see that. I don't need to hear what you're going to do. I don't want to have you come out and give us promises and then you don't fulfill them. Just change the fucking shows. We know what needs to be changed. Do it. Simple. Why did Eric Bischoff and Paul Heyman get hired? I mentioned this on Thursday as well. Everybody's talking about Triple H. Why didn't Triple H get hired? Why didn't Triple H get offered this position of taking over at least SmackDown Live? Triple H can't do everything. Triple H cannot do everything. He is one man. He has assembled a team, and his team right now is good enough to do what they are currently doing. NXT 205 Live, NXT UK. I've always stated that whatever Triple H is doing is definitely going to be something that the main roster needs to look at and implement on their shows. But Triple H is one man. You could use that as an excuse. You could use WWE wants him to focus on NXT because NXT is thriving and NXT needs to live up to the quality that we know and expect from NXT, and Triple H needs to concentrate on doing that and continuing their momentum. That's fine. That's fine. That's a plausible excuse to why Triple H did not get the executive director role. Or it could be a case where he wasn't offered the position whatsoever. Nobody even thought of Triple H for that position. And I brought up the case of Vince McMahon not offering or creating this position for Triple H, being the reason of he doesn't want anybody in his family to come in and step on his lawn and do what he is doing better. Nobody wants, or nobody in Vince McMahon's team, or on Vince McMahon's team, in Vince McMahon's corner, nobody, from what I know and gather, nobody really thinks highly of Triple H. For whatever reason, I don't know why. But what I see and what I feel is NXT is doing so great, and Triple H is creating, and he's molding the future, and he's getting pretty much himself ready. He's using NXT as a vessel to get himself ready for eventual takeover of the main roster. If you don't think that is happening right now, you're a fool. There are people in place. He's put people in certain positions to groom them and get them ready for when he makes his move to the main roster to oversee everything. And all of that he's built, the team that he's assembled, is going to come up from NXT. Most of it anyway. He'll probably leave some trusted people down there. But they're not ready for that big jump yet. He's going to leave someone that he trusts completely in charge, and he's going to move most of his team to the main roster. But they haven't given Triple H a thought in this discussion, because I honestly feel that Triple H doing what he's doing with NXT, if they did it on the main roster, he would show everybody up, and he would make everybody look like a fool. Vince doesn't want anybody to come in and do his job better than he can do it. And he knows that. You know it, I know it. That's the type of man Vince McMahon is. But why not Triple H? That's the reason why. That's my reason. It's not the exact reason. That's what I gather from everything that I've known and read over the past several years about WWE and Vince's ego, and how people in Vince's corner do not like Triple H. How they don't even like and appreciate NXT, because if they did, you'd see a little different mentality from WWE main roster when it comes to NXT. NXT's never mentioned. Championships are never mentioned. History of certain superstars that are on the main roster right now, their time in NXT is never mentioned. It's looked at as a developmental brand and not a third brand. Yet Triple H goes out there in every interview that he has and says NXT is a legit third brand for WWE. You got your Raw, you got your SmackDown, and you got your third brand in NXT. If it's their third brand, then they should be acknowledging it on TV. But why Bischoff and why Paul Heyman? Brad Shepard is reporting that WWE made this change primarily because of WWE's impending deal with Fox. They need someone who can navigate those waters, and Eric Bischoff is very knowledgeable in doing just that. And AEW also pushed WWE to change and implement this change. Create these new roles for Bischoff and Paul Heyman. There could be some need for their expertise during the impending wrestling war that is soon to come. Right now, there is no wrestling war. From what I'm hearing, AEW is going to be debuting on October 2nd on TNT, Wednesday in October. They will be directly competing with NXT. And I'll talk about that in a second, because all of this ties in to all of that. But that is what I'm hearing, and that is what I read as of this afternoon. October 2nd, TNT, from 9 to 11. That is a Wednesday. Brad Shepard says this, and I quote, "I spoke with a source in WWE about Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff being named executive directors. Fox," and he puts in parentheses, "the biggest reason," and AEW both led to this decision by Vince McMahon. 2 meetings were scheduled with each of them separately and then one together. After contract negotiation, they accepted the offer on Tuesday evening. I'm told that they are going to have significant powers over both producers and writers. End quote. I hope that is the fucking case. I really do. You know, Vince is 74 years old. I don't understand, and actually, let me rephrase that. I do understand that this is his life. This is his baby. He doesn't want to leave his baby in the hands of another human being. I know. You would not leave your child with someone that you don't trust. Or you won't leave your child with a family member that you love, but know is reckless, and you don't know really what they would do with the baby if they had the baby or care for the baby in a full day. You're not going to do that. Vince treats WWE like his own newborn child. At 74 years old, after all the years that he's been working and doing what he's been doing with the WWE, he still has that mentality. But at 74 years old, he is the boss. He is the CEO. He has a lot on his plate. I don't know anybody who is a boss or a CEO that wants to literally do everything themselves without delegating, making your life easier. If I am Vince McMahon and I am stressed beyond belief, and I got all these people attacking me about the fucking quality of the shows and all these different controversies, everything that comes out of the woodwork from everybody, fan base, fucking shit that happened in the past that seems to rear its ugly head every now and then, XFL, whatever. Firing this guy, firing that guy, changing scripts, rewriting scripts, storylines. He's got so much on his plate that he can't fit anymore. He can't eat anymore. So why continue to do it? Vince is in a position at an age where he should want to delegate to take all of that shit off of his plate so he could concentrate on something else and put more energy into something that desperately needs it. I don't get it. I never ran across a CEO or a boss that doesn't delegate. You put people in positions of power to do what you would do, so you don't have to do it. Why would you stifle creative expression from Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff? Now, I don't know how up to date Eric Bischoff is on the WWE product. I've read and I've heard him say that he doesn't watch pro wrestling. Talks about pro wrestling with Conrad. He does this and that with the podcasts. But I don't know how much pro wrestling he actually consumes. Maybe he is meeting with WWE in the next couple of weeks to get a crash course on everything that is happening, to learn the superstars, to know what's going on with current WWE television, and then get put into the position. And he could start working his magic then. How much magic does he actually have? I don't know. But it can't be any worse than it is now. Vince understands change. This is why you made the moves, because you understand change. So now it's time for you to delegate. At 74 years old, you need to delegate. You put them in a position of power. You let them wield power. They are the boss. They are the boss. These shows need to be better. These shows need change. Let them change. Let them lead. You oversee them. That is your only concern. Your only concern. They write. They have power over producers and writers. They get a show together. And you do not meddle in anything that they come up with creatively. You sit in your office and you wait for both of them to come in so you go over the shows, and that is it. You do not meddle in their affairs. AEW will swallow you whole if this shit continues. I mean that. I've had several fucking people that I've known just as long as I've been alive who watch this product weekly that say when AEW comes to TV, if WWE is in the same position it is now, canceling the network if they have not done so already, and they will not watch weekly WWE programming with AEW on a 2-hour Wednesday night. They're not. They have no interest. Change or bounce. That's the mentality of everybody now. That's the mentality that you see on social media. Change or bounce. It needs to be done. That's why you put them there. Let them do what they need to do. Clearly, AEW is going to be a little pest. That little gnat on the 4th of July barbecue that you can't fucking swat away. Let them do what they need to do. Otherwise, AEW is going to look and produce, and the fan base is going to continue to dwindle week by week by week. You're not going to put another rival wrestling show on a major cable TV network and not have people eventually find out. You have to do everything in your power to keep whatever fan base you have and create the show that is going to rival them so that you create new fans. Let them do what they need to do. WWE didn't have Eric Bischoff and Paul Heyman signed for very long at all before making the announcement official as of Thursday. And now we'll just have to wait and see, sit back and see what changes the WWE product goes through, if at all. I don't expect things to change on Monday or Tuesday night. I expect the same shit to happen on Monday and Tuesday night that we've been getting. Shane McMahon, Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre, The Miz, Elias, Wildcard. Same shit. Same shit. I expect no change. Fightful, speaking of expecting no change, Sean Ross Sapp is reporting that one current WWE superstar reached out to him and even went as far as to call the entire Bischoff and Heyman situation hype and wasted energy. Don't get worked up yet that things are going to dramatically change. One wrestler told Sean Ross Sapp that he thought it was wasted energy to even think about the possibility of anything really changing at this point until it's proven. So, I am not wrong. For everybody that wanted to blast me in the comments section, oh, JD, this is great news, and you're still negative. I don't understand you. It's like you buy a lottery ticket and you automatically think you're going to fucking win $5 million on a fucking scratch-off. Or you buy a lottery ticket and you got the fucking, you know, the deli guy hands you the ticket. Oh, I won. I'm going to win $5 million and then the fucking Powerball or whatever. Doesn't work that way. WWE has changed, and they are implementing these changes. That doesn't mean you're going to see change. That doesn't mean you're going to see dramatic change on Monday or Tuesday. You may never see it. You can continue playing the lottery all your life. You may never win the fucking lottery. Come on now. You have to be cautious. Unless they change and you physically see it, then it's okay to get excited. Until I see it, I'm going to remain in the same boat, floating down the same river that I've been floating down for the last 10 fucking years. Being negative, being salty, being frustrated, and being angry. That I waste 5 hours of my life every single week to do this shit that I love, and I get no fucking kickback from WWE. I love what I do. Clearly, WWE does not. And the only reason why they're doing this is because of AEW. If AEW did not exist, Heyman and Bischoff wouldn't even be in the news this week. Believe me. You'd still see the same WWE product that you've been seeing for the last fucking 10 years. The worst it's ever been currently. You'd still be seeing it every single week because they have no reason to change. No reason. They're not changing for the fucking fans. That's what you don't understand. They're not changing for us. They're implementing these changes not for us because AEW was here. If that's all it took, fucking Christ. Only time will tell. You may never get change. I hope I am wrong. Why Triple H wasn't given the role of executive director of Raw and Smackdown Live. Brian Alvarez reported this, and he mentioned this on Observer Live. He was told that Triple H was not considered for one of the new executive director roles because they want him to continue focusing on NXT. Simple. Simple. Yes, everybody thinks Triple H is going to be the savior of WWE. I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case. I don't think Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff are going to be the saviors of WWE either. I don't think anybody's going to be the savior of WWE. The savior of WWE is going to be the Grim Reaper. Because when the Grim Reaper shows up and takes Vince McMahon away, then we could possibly see WWE for the better. That's my take on that. If Triple H needs to continue being in NXT, he needs to continue being in NXT because we expect a certain type of quality to come out from NXT. Maybe the people that he has in place are trusted but not really up to par with delivering the type of quality that we expect from NXT. Not yet anyway. That's why he's got Shawn Michaels there. That's why he's got Road Dogg there. That's why he's got all his team there. He's grooming them for when he is not there. He knows that NXT is going to continue maintaining the quality that is when he was there without him. I'm okay with this. I really am okay with this. But again, I ask and I raise the question, which is very plausible, is this Bischoff-Heyman move being done to deter the anger and hatred towards Vince McMahon so when the shows actually do fail and continue to fail, all the heat is going to fall on those two guys and not Vince McMahon? Only time will tell. Triple H may have a role in WWE. We don't know. But for the time being, all of our hopes and dreams and laurels are resting on Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff. WWE employees are certain. This is something that I knew already and you knew already. I don't know why this is in the news, but Meltzer talked about it. WWE employees are certain Vince McMahon doesn't know anything about wrestling outside of WWE. All more of the reason why this man needs to let these two guys do what they need to do. Bischoff might not know everything as far as WWE goes, but I'm sure Eric Bischoff is up to date and in the know at least more than Vince McMahon on everything that's going on outside of the WWE and in the world of pro wrestling. Paul Heyman, I am sure, is very knowledgeable. He's very respected. He's very sought after. Paul Heyman, everybody's wanted Paul Heyman for years to write WWE. And we might be getting that. But it's not a surprise to me that Vince McMahon doesn't know anything outside the WWE bubble. Meltzer explained during Wrestling Observer Live that many former Impact Wrestling stars who worked with Bischoff back then, when he was there with Hulk Hogan, were especially shocked about his return as executive director of SmackDown Live. Things didn't turn out well at all for Bischoff and TNA, therefore it makes people wonder if their assumption has been correct all along, and that Vince McMahon really doesn't know anything about pro wrestling outside of his own company. Meltzer says this, and I quote, "You know, there's a lot of people who were in TNA that are in WWE. To say that they're baffled is the understatement of the year. They are just rolling their eyes. I mean, none of them had a clue about Bischoff being announced as the new executive director of SmackDown Live. I mean, they can't even believe it. They're like, how can someone be so out of touch? And the thing was, and I've heard this from a lot of people, Vince really doesn't know anything about wrestling outside of the WWE at all. I mean, that's kind of the conclusion, and I'm not just talking about ex-TNA guys in the company. I mean, that's the consensus of people that work in and around Vince McMahon. Now, we know he doesn't follow wrestling, and we know he doesn't watch wrestling, but he doesn't know anything about wrestling anymore outside of his walls." End quote. Because Vince McMahon is a demented old fucking fool. His version of pro wrestling only exists in Vince McMahon's mind. His version and dream of what pro wrestling should be is not felt or thought of with everybody else. This is a CEO who is completely out of the loop on everything. And the only way he finds out what's going on is because he has people underneath him in positions of power that know what's going on, and then they go back to him and relay the information back to him. Whether he does anything with it or cares remains to be seen. But how could you have someone in charge that doesn't know anything? If I am a pro wrestling CEO, and I'm a CEO of a pro wrestling company, I am going to go out of my way to know who's out there, who I have on my radar next, who I have on my roster that I don't want anymore, contracts coming up, who do I want replaced, what other promotions are out there, what are they doing, AEW coming up, following them as if I'm fucking working for them, in the know, listening and watching the news, listening to shows and podcasts. He doesn't know anything. He doesn't care. Maybe he doesn't have to care. There's a reason why he's a fucking multi-billionaire. Maybe he got that way by not listening to anybody, but that is not common logic. If you are a CEO and if you're being battled by another rival promotion, you clearly have to be in the know regarding everything. Everything. Look at Vince, he doesn't even watch NXT. He might not even need to know everything that's going on and can get everything he needs to know from NXT. That's why he has Triple H in the position of power as COO. Triple H knows everything. Triple H is on the pulse of literally everything in pro wrestling, but Vince McMahon is not. That is one of the many major factors why Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live are so fucking terrible. That is not the mentality of a man you want to be pushing Heyman and Bischoff around. That is the mentality of a man that is fucking dangerous and will absolutely kill your shows. So if that is the case, and this is true, which we all know it is, even more the reason to let these guys do what they need to do. When will they be able to do what they need to do? Pro Wrestling Sheet and Ryan Satin report that both Heyman and Bischoff will slowly assimilate themselves into their new roles in WWE. They will be meeting with the staff and getting a feel for everything before being given full control over the creative development of their shows. The idea is that when they get control of their shows, it might be interesting to some. We might see change. We might not see change at all. But Bischoff and Heyman could bring new ideas to the table, which is rudimentary, obviously. That is going to be something that we need. We need new faces, new ideas, fresh ideas, and all the stale ideas that were being written for Vince McMahon. He needs to be out of the equation. The creative writing team needs to write, for now, Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff. That's the most interesting thing that I am going to be keeping my eyes on. Because everybody's writing for Vince McMahon. Oh, we got to write what Vince likes. It's not the case anymore. If these guys are really going to have full creative control over producers and writers, I want to see what they could write when they got to write for someone other than Vince McMahon. New ideas, new faces, everything. Eric Bischoff might not be 100% up to date on the current product, but I'm sure WWE will give him a crash course in everything he needs to know. It is also noted that everything will be ran through Vince McMahon, like I mentioned, and he still has the final say-so about everything going on in the company. That clearly is going to drive people away and leave them in the boat of, well, yeah, it's exciting, but there's nothing to be excited about because everything goes through Vince McMahon. We have to see, and I'm giving this, I'm being very optimistic about this because I'm a very pessimistic individual when it comes to this type of shit. I want to be optimistic, and I'm leaning towards being optimistic. We will know if that is truly the case if nothing changes. Vince could have the final say, but Vince should not be dictating what they need to do. Just give a yes or a no. That's all Vince McMahon's job is. Maybe that's exactly what that means. We don't know. We have to wait and see. The timeline also falls in line with what Brad Shepard previously reported, where they will be in positions fully by late July or early August, which could be very interesting for SummerSlam, because Summer Scam is exactly what it's been for the last couple of summers. All through New York, Summer Scam. T-shirts will be on sale, as always, during the month of August. Actually, they're on sale now if you guys want to go get ready on Barbershop Window. That's neither here or there, though. There is a lot that needs to be worked on in the ways of logistics. Before that, any change can fully be implemented. The Wrestling Observer newsletter notes that Heyman's new role on Raw might actually be tempting, or a tempting bonus, in case Ronda Rousey is concerned, and this could lead to her in-ring return a lot quicker because of the influence of Paul Heyman. Heyman is very popular with the crew. He's completely up to date on everyone and everything. His influence with McMahon has grown. Having Heyman in the role strengthens the idea of Lesnar staying and Rousey returning. This is very interesting and could make for a much better Monday Night Raw, and it could be an environment that is a lot more fun for Ronda Rousey to come back into, because we all know right now the women's division is struggling in WWE. Currently, right now, Rousey is enjoying her life with Travis Brown. She wants to get pregnant, start a family. We don't know if or when that's going to happen, but if Heyman has any say, he will have Rousey back immediately, which we all know right now is desperately needed. The Wrestling Observer newsletter notes that everyone in the world has been telling McMahon that for whatever reason, he's a control freak and everyone on the show has to speak in his unique language. That's ridiculous. Everybody's been telling Vince McMahon what, or apparently that's what's being reported. I don't know where that news came from or who the fuck is telling Vince McMahon anything, because clearly he's not listening to a fucking person at all. But he's a control freak and everyone has to speak his unique language. Now, this is in regards to the writing on the shows. Something that Heyman is being looked at right now to change completely. The scripted promos. Everybody has to speak Vince McMahon's unique language. Everybody's been telling Vince McMahon that the scripted promos don't work in WWE. And I don't know why anybody would think they would work. You know, MJF recently said that if somebody presented him a script to read off of, he would rip it up. And that's exactly the mentality that you have to have. You're not going to script somebody like MJF to write for him. You're not going to have some fucking idiot who doesn't know the MJF character write for him. MJF should write for MJF, and anything MJF writes should be approved by a writer and looked over by a writer and then given the green light. This is what we need to have happen on Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw is so overproduced. It is absolutely fucking disgusting. It doesn't even feel like a wrestling show. It doesn't feel like a sports show. These promos are terrible. Now, everybody in the WWE cuts a bad promo, but for the most part, the delivery of these promos, the wording of these promos, you could go back and watch Dolph Ziggler's fucking promos or Drew McIntyre's fucking promos. I'm going to barbarically beat you till there's not one single breath left in you. Who the fuck talks like that? Who talks like that in a pro wrestling environment? You don't need to hear shit like that. People have been telling Vince McMahon this for whatever reason, and he wants people to speak his language in the fucking made-up world of what he thinks pro wrestling is. Can't be doing that, man. That is something that absolutely 100% needs to change if Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff are taking over these shows. Hopefully, hiring Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff as executive producers will change these things, but everything is still ultimately approved by Vince McMahon, so we'll have to wait and see if we can listen and hear any distinguishable fucking change in the way the promos are being cut from superstars. Finally, guys, this is something that I hope does not happen in regards to all of this Eric Bischoff and Paul Heyman nonsense. There is right now a report going around that NXT is set for the biggest exodus of talent coming up to the main roster when WWE moves SmackDown to Fox Sports. I don't know why. I don't really know why. NXT has a lot of talent. We all know that. But apparently, we are going to see a few of them continue to make jumps to the main roster. With Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff now in charge, not only are we going to see big changes with both SmackDown and Raw, but we could see big changes with NXT as well. Brad Shepard reports that his source has told him that this fall we'll see the biggest exodus of NXT talent to the main roster yet. I ask why. I ask why. Nobody's going to give me a straight answer, but apparently not just going to affect SmackDown Live on Fox either, because everything that is going to happen with a move like this is going to affect Raw as well, because Raw is also going to be in line for a complete facelift. So we'll be seeing talent be called up from NXT, or demoted, however you want to look at it, and more than likely there'll be talent cuts as well. And we all know WWE has a talent roster right now that is just bursting at the seams. Not everybody has the time of day to get on television, and they're not really in the business to cut anybody because they don't want these cut talent to go to AEW. So what are they going to do? This is the same source for Brad Shepard that has indicated that this fall will have the biggest exodus of NXT call-ups to the main roster to date. I'm told the week of the changeover to Fox will affect Raw just as much as it will SmackDown Live. So I don't know what's going to happen here, but this is not the right move to make. Because of the main roster failures, that doesn't mean you get to kill NXT. That doesn't mean with whatever Triple H has planned, and I'm sure whatever he has planned, he's got planned till next WrestleMania. I'm sure of it. I'm absolutely 100% sure that Triple H has a vision of where he wants to go with the current crop of guys he has down in NXT right now. Why do you need to ruin that? Why do you need to anger us when it comes to that? Why would you call up somebody that's in the middle of something and have all of that just completely wasted, only to have your agenda fulfilled because you need to cover up for all the fucking previous failures before Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live get a new change with Heyman and Bischoff in charge? Doesn't work that way. Doesn't work that way. You have so much fucking talent on these shows that you're not using and haven't used in 11 weeks. 3 months. Buddy Murphy has not had a television match, and I keep going back to using him as an example because it's fucking disgusting. Aleister Black hasn't had a single match coming out of WrestleMania, and he's been locked in a fucking closet for 12 weeks. Ridiculous. You have so much talent on these shows that you don't need to call up anybody from NXT. And you have so much talent that you're not using that I could legitimately take and start my own wrestling promotion with. Changes are clearly they're a necessity. Changes need to be in order. But that's not the change I want to see. What happens to all the fucking superstars that haven't been on TV, that have been on the main roster for years that you're not using? So you're going to continue pushing them down the ladder because you got to call up talent from NXT that you don't even know how to use? Nobody should be called up from NXT unless you have a plan for their call up on Raw or SmackDown. You can't be doing your roster dirty like that in NXT and on the main roster. Look at all the talent you got already that you're not using. Use them. Find plans for them. Find spots for them. Don't worry about what Triple H and NXT are doing. Let him continue to create, and when he creates, you come up with a plan with him on how to debut his guys, and then all will be good. You can't just pluck when you want, who you want, and then plug them into the show. Careful. You gotta build. Whether it's via a fucking video package or coming a highlight package or whatever for these guys being called up. You can't pull and immediately put them on TV. Got to have a plan. No exodus is needed. The exodus of Vince McMahon is the only fucking exodus we need. NXT needs to remain NXT. Use the talents that you have on your roster now that you haven't even fucking used yet, that merely right now is collecting dust on Vince McMahon's toy shelf. Come on now. That's a ridiculous fucking report. I'm not sure how true that is, but I hope to God that is 100% false information. That is all the news I have on this Eric Bischoff and Paul Heyman situation coming out of Thursday. My initial thoughts and reaction to this, to me, I love the video that I put out because it was in the heat of the moment. I hit record. I just went because this frustration has been building up for years. And finally now we're getting change, or what seems to be the road to change. How much of that we're going to see, I don't know. I simply hope it is not the case of Vince McMahon putting these two notable names just to grab headlines on a dirt sheet or in the fucking wrestling community. I hope that they're not being put in these positions to take the heat off of Vince McMahon and the shows are going to remain the same. You know how I feel about it. You know what I think needs to be done. I'm sure the majority of you understand where I'm coming from and know and feel the same way that I do. This is very important. If WWE drops the ball here, there may be nothing that combats AEW when AEW gets their ball rolling. And I honestly have a feeling that with these moves in place, if change happens and AEW is on TNT on October 2nd, what does it really mean? Is Vince McMahon making these moves and putting these men in power for the sake of the shows because he knows change is needed? Or is he simply doing it because some other promotion's coming into his yard and they're claiming that this is their yard now? That they're going to give you pro wrestling the way pro wrestling is intended to be, the way pro wrestling needs to be. And that Vince McMahon's ways are wrong. Competition is going to bring out a better WWE, and this is the start of it. I'm all for it. I just hope that this move and these moves and these changes are being done wholeheartedly for the right reasons and are just not some reaction to combat AEW. I don't want to sit here and think that all because AEW is around that these things are happening. Would these changes be happening if AEW did not exist? The answer is no. I hope I am wrong on all of this. I want change more than anybody, and you will know, see, and feel change when it does happen. I'm telling you, do not get excited about anything that's going on right now until you physically see it. When you see it, then I'll be the first one to fucking pop a bottle of champagne and celebrate with the rest of you. Calm the fuck down and let these guys hopefully do what they have to do. I got a lot more on Off the Script. We're going to go over AEW and their television date, as well as talent turning down AEW, an option to stay with the WWE. Speaking of SmackDown Live and their move to Fox with these new moves of Bischoff and Heyman, Matt Riddle could be requested by Fox Sports. And WWE now is throwing their hat into the major market for LAX. We'll talk about all that right here on the podcast. Don't go anywhere. We'll hit the intro, and I'll be right back.
Delete! This is mine.
As the weather continues to get hotter, so does Off the Script, man. Episode 280, this is part number 2 for your Fyter Fest Saturday. I will be watching Fyter Fest today. I will be live tweeting during AEW Fyter Fest. But like I mentioned on Friday, I will not be doing a traditional review immediately after the show is over like I would any other show. I'm going to wait till later on Sunday to get you guys a review because I don't really have much of anything else to talk about outside of this Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff situation with their new roles on Raw and Smackdown. I got everything I needed out as far as that story goes, so I have to save something for Sunday, and I think that's what we'll do with Fyter Fest. So if you guys are interested on my thoughts, I will definitely be talking about Fyter Fest right here on the podcast, man. But I got a lot of news today, a lot of news left to go over, including the ones I talked about. Matt Riddle, AEW and WWE have major interest in LAX, Santana and Ortiz. Fox wants Jerry Lawler on WWE television. And did you guys know that Jinder Mahal signed a new 5-year deal with the WWE? How is this news, folks? Why is this news? Why would anybody give a shit about Jinder fucking Mahal, who, by the way, is a former WWE champion, and the guy who killed, or almost killed anyway, SmackDown Live, because he's fucking terrible. Jinder Mahal. There you go. We'll talk about that as well. Thank you guys so much for everything, man. If you missed anything that I uploaded this week, there's a lot of stuff. Today's going to be a good day, but I was going to say this week was a good week. Today's a good day because you got Off the Script in your sub boxes, but this week, as far as content, absolutely killer, man. There's a lot of great shit on the channel. Seth Rollins blasts Jon Moxley and defends Vince McMahon's creative and recent Sports Illustrated interview. We burned it down. I think we burned it down on Friday. Go check that out. Monday Night Raw was terrible. That if God tried himself, he could not even fix Monday Night Raw. SmackDown Live continues to do nothing right on Tuesday night. The only thing that is right for you is to pick up that remote control, and when you see that man's face, you know what you have to do. And then WWE decided to air Evolve's anniversary show, Evolve 131, on the same night as Fight for the Fallen. We'll go over that, and then the Off the Script extra breaking down and my initial first reactions to Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff, named executive directors of Raw and Smackdown, man. Lots of good shit for you to go check out on the channel. If you missed it, please go and do that. Links will be in the top right corner in that annotation. It's a little eye. When you see it, click it, drop it down. Everything you need will be right there. Make sure you guys follow me on social media at JD from NY206. That's both on Twitter and Instagram. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on that bell for all notifications so that you guys are in the know on when I upload. And while you do that, hit the join button. Become a member of the channel and get Off the Script early every single weekend. That is the perk right there for you guys to become a channel member, on top of cool exclusive emojis when I premiere or when I live stream. And you guys get access to my Off the Script Discord server. So there you go. You guys can do the same thing on Patreon. If you guys want to say, fuck YouTube, and you guys want to support Off the Script on Patreon, you guys can do the same thing on Patreon. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. It's completely optional. And the thing with Patreon is you guys get audio of everything that I do throughout the week. Shit that you're not going to get on Spotify and iTunes. That includes Raw, SmackDown, NXT, any extras, and, of course, Off the Script. Thank you guys so much, and thank you to all my Patreons out there. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. Harry's. Gotta shout out Harry's, man, because they are the #1 sponsor right here on Off the Script. Harrys.com/script for your free $13 value trial set. Did you guys know that the average guy, the average gentleman, shaves 3,000 hours in his lifetime? That is a lot of time. That is unbelievable. At this rate, I'd rather spend 3,000 hours shaving than watching Monday Night Raw, but that's just me. I don't want you guys to waste 4 months of your life overpaying for poor performing razors. Get Harry's. Harry's is a razor so sharp you can shave less often and you will save more money because they're just $2 per blade. Join the 10 million, including me, and use our unique link. Claim your special offer today by going to harrys.com/script. Harry's were founded by 2 regular guys tired of paying and getting ripped off for overpriced gimmicks, vibrating heads, flex balls, handles that look like props in a cheesy sci-fi movie. These are just some of the tactics that the leading brands have used to overcharge us for years. Harry's makes quality, durable blades at a fair price. Like I said, $2 per blade. To keep prices low, they cut out the middleman. They have a world-class blade factory in Germany that's been making some of the best razor blades in the world for 99 years. Now they can provide you great quality at factory direct prices. With a 100% quality guarantee, by the way. Something that you're not going to get with everybody. If you don't love your shave, you let Harry's know and they'll give you a full refund. JD, this sounds great. I'm going to use harrys.com/script, but what am I going to get exactly? You're going to get a handle with an easy grip. Choice of color is yours. Orange, navy blue, or the evergreen. I got all 3 because why the hell not? 5-blade razor with a lubricating strip and a trimmer blade for a close, comfortable shave. Rich lathering shave gel that will leave you smelling great. And believe me, when you apply it on your face, it feels fantastic, man. You're going to feel a nice little tingling sensation, and you know that that gel is working. And a travel blade cover to keep your razor dry and easy on the go. Listeners of my show can redeem their trial set by going to harrys.com/script. Once again, that's harrys.com/script to redeem your offer and let them know that JD sent you to help support Off the Script. Let's get the bullshit out of the way first, man, because there's no reason why I even have to put this in the podcast, but it's news. It's not really newsworthy, but it's news regardless. No matter what you think of the man, I think he sucks. But Jinder Mahal has signed a new 5-year deal with the WWE. Are you surprised? I'm not surprised, because who the fuck would take Jinder Mahal? I don't think anybody would take Jinder Mahal. If Jinder Mahal was the last wrestler alive, I wouldn't take him for a made-up wrestling promotion at all. I know if I had the option to take Jinder or leave Jinder, I'd leave Jinder. I wouldn't take him. He is absolutely worthless to any roster that he is on. And I mean that wholeheartedly. He may be a great guy. Probably is a great guy. Probably a swell guy. Probably a guy that I'd love to have a beer with. Doesn't mean he's a good pro wrestler. Doesn't mean he is adequate in the ring. Doesn't mean he should have been WWE champion. You know, I still feel pain from when he beat Shinsuke Nakamura. Just letting you know. Pro Wrestling Sheet reports that Jinder Mahal signed a 5-year contract with the WWE. This will take Jinder Mahal into the 2024 year with WWE. Awesome. What a shitty investment. Imagine being Vince McMahon and investing your money in Jinder Mahal till 2024. My goodness. In recent weeks, WWE has re-signed Mike and Maria Kanellis and Mojo Rawley. He's still looking in the mirror, wondering why he is even on Raw. That's what he's looking in the fucking mirror towards. He hopes that he gets sucked into the mirror and into some weird fucking universe. A different dimension, away from current Monday Night Raw. That's what I think he's doing, or at least hoping. Where the fuck is Mojo Rawley gonna go? Of course he signed a 5-year. All of these names. 5 years for Mojo, 5 years for fucking Mike and Maria, 5 years for Jinder Mahal. Bums. They're all bums. The reason why they signed with WWE is because they couldn't sign anywhere else. There was no interest from anywhere else. Where's Mojo going to go? Mojo's not going to AEW. Mojo's not even going to Impact. You fucking kidding me? Where's Jinder going to go? If you're Cody and Jinder's a free agent, oh, let's sign Mahal. You fucking out of your mind? I'd fucking slap Cody upside the head if that move was made. Mike and Maria, Mojo, they've all recently inked new deals. AJ Styles, the Usos, earlier in April, they inked new deals. 5 years, by the way, for all of them. WWE's giving out 5-year contracts like they're fucking the ice cream man. So despite reports that it would blow your mind to know how many superstars want to leave, WWE's actually keeping a few of these superstars. They have yet to get the Good Brothers or the Revival to sign new contracts because the Good Brothers in the Revival actually have fucking brains. The Good Brothers in the Revival know that their services are wanted elsewhere. That's the difference. However, Jinder Mahal is, unfortunately, going to be a WWE lifer till 2024. Good, make your money. Make your money, do what you gotta do, support your family, support your spending habits, or whatever the fuck you gotta do. Live a good life, and let Vince McMahon take care of you. The reason why Mahal signed, just like everybody else, is because there was no interest in these individuals from any other wrestling promotion. Speaking of contracts, someone who could be on the way out, and I hope that's the case because he deserves a lot better, someone who I think WWE dropped the ball with so badly, is Rusev. Remember Rusev Day? Remember how WWE had Rusev Day trending, was the biggest thing in WWE? Remember Rusev Day. On their way to Tag Team Championship Gold. And what happened? WWE killed it. They did not capitalize on pushing Rusev as a babyface because Vince always seen Rusev as a heel. Fucking fucked up mentality, man. Rusev is one of the first superstars that a lot of fans immediately bring up in a conversation about who is being ignored by the WWE. Naturally, fans would like to see him working for a company that actually respects him. Dave Meltzer was asked on the Wrestling Observer Live about Rusev's current WWE contract and whether a big promotion like AEW or New Japan Pro Wrestling would be interested in signing Rusev. He says this, and I quote, "I think his deal is up relatively soon. I've heard nothing confirmed, but the tea leaves tell me that obviously he's not happy because he's not there, and he asked for a leave of absence. Now that may mean that they're going to freeze him while he does that. We don't know. Him leaving would not surprise me at all. As far as AEW, I think that they would want him. As far as New Japan, I think that they would want him too. It's a question of how much they would want to go up on price for him. I don't know what Gato thinks of him. I would think that they would want him. I mean, he's not going to be a difference maker like Jon Moxley and Chris Jericho are, but he's a good wrestler and he could do well there. Honestly, I think in AEW he could do great because people will remember the Rusev Day stuff. I mean, they won't be able to do it or use it because I'm sure WWE has trademarked Rusev Day. I mean, they could always work around it, and they're really into that irony stuff. So I actually think that if he left and went with AEW, that the AEW fan base would take to him and he would do really well. There you go. I think that would be fucking great if you ask me. So that's just that. Now, as far as Rusev, clearly a lot of fans are uttering the same sentiments that I am. The fact that he's been ignored and not used and stop and start pushes. He was one of the hottest guys in the company and WWE didn't utilize him and capitalize on that, and everything just fucking completely died to a point where it could never be resurrected ever again. I think AEW would do great with Rusev. I think New Japan would do great with Rusev, and I think Rusev would do great with those promotions too because he would be pushed to a certain limit, and we could see a completely different Rusev. We could see a completely different guy than what we've seen in the ring, and if he goes to AEW, no matter what they name him or no matter what moniker he goes under or what gimmick that he undertakes there in AEW, you know you're still going to have that Rusev Day shit because the fans don't forget. It's going to be great if he goes to AEW. You'll be hearing Rusev Day chants and he might not have anything to do with the Rusev name anymore. That's just the way the fan base is, and that's how you know that the guy is respected. Rusev was so over. I remember I went to a Ring of Honor show at the Hammerstein Ballroom last year. And that was when, the Bullet Club was there and they were doing their thing. Kenny wasn't there, but the Bucks were there. Skrull was there. It was a big deal. Cody was there. And I remember within like the first 20 minutes, 30 minutes of the show, there were massive Rusev Day chants during a match. I don't remember what match it was. I guess the crowd wasn't really too enamored with the fucking match that was going on, but there were massive Rusev Day chants, Hammerstein Ballroom packed, just chanting Rusev Day just out of the blue, So, he is over, and he is respected, and he is good. He can talk. He's funny. He's got charisma. He's not bad in the ring. He's not bad at all in the ring. He's very good in the ring. And WWE just, for whatever reason, he's not being used. And you could put him in the same team, the same camp as Aleister Black and Buddy Murphy, Mustafa Ali, and Shinsuke Nakamura before this Finn Balor bullshit that we seen on Tuesday. Cedric Alexander, Cesaro, and everybody else that's not being used. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. And wherever Rusev goes, I'm sure Lana will follow not too far behind. So whoever gets Rusev is probably getting a 2-for-1 because you're going to get Lana anyway. It's a great deal if you ask me. And there's no way that if they go somewhere else, they're not going to be used to their full potential. Lana's great when she wants to be Lana, and WWE took her out of that role as Rusev's spokesperson. Then they ruined her. Nobody wanted to see Lana wrestle. Nobody gives a fuck about Lana. Lana thrived when she was with Rusev. Maybe not with the Russian accent, because that shit doesn't exist on WWE. Russian accent, then she goes on Total Divas, accent goes away, and then we're supposed to pretend that we didn't hear the Russian accent, ever. That's the type of shit I hate. But reality television. So whoever gets Rusev's going to get a 2-for-1. And there's no way anybody could fuck up that combo. You go back to doing what was best for them. Pairing them together, manager and client. There you go. Come on. I would love to see it happen for him just for his sake, because I know he is itching to get back into that competitive spirit. Now, like I mentioned with Rusev and Mahal and Mojo and Mike and Maria Kanellis, there are some WWE superstars that are actually declining going to AEW. Every superstar has their own reasons and their own reasons for doing what they do and their reasons for making certain career decisions. With AEW opening up and giving pro wrestling and the pro wrestling landscape and pro wrestlers a place to find solace where you might not have ever had any to begin with, there's a lot of options now for pro wrestlers. There are quite a number of WWE superstars who are looking to exit WWE or at least see what else is out there. The company is also engaging in some booking practices and conducting a lot of micromanaging backstage that some wrestlers don't really appreciate all that often. However, not all WWE superstars are wanting to leave the company, and they want more of a steady paycheck, and that is all they want. And with AEW, they may get their wish. One superstar actually reportedly was quoted saying, and I say this, and I quote, "At this point, it's about putting money away for my family. I may never make this kind of money again, so I thank AEW for raising the pay scale for everyone. I would love to have a bigger role, but I will gladly take the checks and extend my bump card for not being on the road as much." End quote. I don't know who that superstar is, nor do I care. That's all great. You can have your own mentality and your own morals. I'm being completely honest with you. If I heard that about someone on my roster, that's the type of guy I don't want on my roster. I am not paying you to sit around simply to sit around and not go to AEW. I'm not doing that. You want to go? Then fucking go. Or if you're WWE, pay them and use them. Pay them and creatively write and structure them into the shows. I'm not paying anybody to fucking just sit there and do nothing. That's WWE's fucking mentality. That's their fault. Number one. Number two, this is the type of environment that WWE has created where this is okay. This is not looked down upon. This is actually approved. It wouldn't be approved if I was the boss. And if I am that way, man, do I feel like shit? Yeah, I'm supporting my family, but at what point do you say, what about me? Yeah, you want a bigger role, but the money is keeping you quiet. So sign a 5-year deal and do nothing. I wouldn't be surprised if Mojo Rawley was the one to say this. He has no role on television. He will never have a role on television. Mojo's not going to amount to anything in WWE. If he does, I'll eat my fucking underwear. I wouldn't be surprised if someone like him said that. But that's not the type of guy I want on my roster. This guy clearly, whoever said this clearly, is there for the paycheck and he doesn't give a shit. I would like to have a bigger role, but I will gladly just sit at home and extend my bump card. Fuck you. It's not the type of guy I want on my roster. Not everybody's going to be taken by AEW because, A, they're probably looking at talent and some talent doesn't fit into their overall agenda and their initiative or their plans. And on the same side of the token, they don't want to look like the WWE has been landfill. Simple as that. You don't want to take everybody that hasn't been used in WWE and find them a home in AEW. It doesn't work that way. If you're not cut to be in AEW, you're not cut. Stay in WWE and collect your paycheck and be a fucking bum. Be content. If you live to be content, you've already failed and fallen behind. That's the way I see it. So some superstars are actually just there to make money, and some superstars want to take over the world. I want the ones that are going to take over the world. That's the way I see it. Speaking of taking over the world, WWE is going to be taking over Fox in October. But Fox Sports wants Jerry Lawler on WWE television in October. Now, Jerry the King Lawler is still under WWE contract. He signed a new WWE contract, not being used. Jim Ross made a little remark about calling the King when his deal was up. So AEW might be, or might have been, a landing pad for Lawler. But in the meantime, Fox wants to use Jerry Lawler. WrestleVotes reports that Fox has floated the idea to WWE that they might like to see Jerry Lawler in the main part of their upcoming WWE studio show on FS1, which will debut in October. This could make fans very happy, and the banter between Renee Young and the King could be something that is desirable amongst many who are watching. Fox has floated the idea to WWE about having Jerry the King Lawler as the main part of their WWE studio show. Once that show begins in October, when SmackDown moves to Fox, the feeling is that Lawler's image and voice is a familiar one, thus something Fox Sports is looking for. WWE will be getting a lot more exposure for their product with the move to Fox. If they utilize their position correctly, it could be a very good thing for them and the King. Therefore, putting someone synonymous with one of the biggest booms in pro wrestling history in studio for a talk show discussing the current product could be something that is very interesting to the casual viewer. I think that's great. I think that's the role Jerry Lawler needs to be in. Yes, he is a noticeable name and a noticeable voice. I don't necessarily want to see him back on commentary, but if they're replacing Byron Saxton with someone like the King, I would be more happy to hear the King than Byron Saxton. I think Byron Saxton fucking sucks at his job. But Jerry Lawler and the familiar face and the familiar voice on a studio show or in the studio for a WWE studio show on FS1 with Renee Young, that's great. I'd love to see it. Why not? But the thing is, what is this studio show going to be? Is it going to be like Talking Smack, where things are broken down and given a real-life feel? Or is this going to be typical WWE banter like we see on WWE.com and on their current program? Because if that's the case, nobody's going to watch the fucking show. I want it to be a SportsCenter-like show. I want you to dive into why certain things happened in a match. I want you to go over momentums, and I want wins and losses by this point to fucking matter. I want legit spotlight on championships and what championships mean to the fucking company. I want injury reports. I want real-life fucking injury reports. I want to know why someone's out, how long they're going to be out. I want fucking reporters on field or in the back getting news and information from the fucking sources themselves. It's got to be real. It's got to be real. It can't be this fucking hokey WWE bullshit. That's what I hope it is. Whether that ends up being the case remains to be seen. But Jerry Lawler, if you are on WWE television and you're on Fox and you see Jerry Lawler, the casual viewer is going to associate the King with something that they loved in the past, and I think that's a great idea. That's the same thing that AEW did with Jim Ross. The reason why they brought Jim Ross back to commentary is because he's a familiar name, he's a familiar voice. When you hear Jim Ross's voice, there's something that makes you want to watch and listen. He might not be the old JR, but towards the tail end of Double or Nothing, that was a decent performance from JR. He's still excited. He still loves the sport. He's still passionate about it. And that's not really the main reason why they brought Jim Ross in anyway. Yeah, it's for the casual viewer on TNT when they hear and see Jim Ross. Oh, shit. It's Jim Ross. What the fuck is going on here? You know, I used to watch Jim Ross back during the Attitude Era. Now he's on TNT in 2019. Who the fuck is AEW? And all the pieces are going to fall into place. But they brought Jim Ross back, not only as that familiar face and familiar voice, but they brought him back because of what he's got working up here. He is more knowledgeable than anything, and the knowledge that he has is more valuable to them than his voice at this point of his career. That's why they brought in Excalibur to sit next to Jim Ross. They're going to get that other fucking guy out of there. Whatever the fuck his name is. I forgot his name because that's how fucking terrible he is. If he sounds like that on TNT, please, call me up. The Bucks are coming through House of Glory in August. I'm going to be giving them my business card, believe me. Listen, who's that other fucking idiot on commentary? Get rid of him. Who is he? He sounds like he's calling a fucking golf match. Give me a break. Oh my God, Tiger Woods with the long drive, 430 feet. He's about another 130 feet away from the green. He's going to have a 15-foot putt here. If he sinks it, he'll go 6 under par. You fucking kidding me? That's what you want as a pro wrestling commentator. Oh my God, man. What a fucking loser. It was the worst part of the show. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Jerry Lawler, I'm in favor of this. And my only hope would be that if Renee Young is going to be doing this thing, which I think she would be great at, take her off commentary. I hope one leads to the other. You know? We can't get everything we want, but it's wishful thinking. Jerry Lawler, Fox, they want him. I like it. I say let's do it. WWE had the Evolve show announced, or Evolve 131. Their anniversary show was announced, right? It was announced in advance. It was announced in April, I believe, or probably before that. So you knew when it was going to happen. I had people tell me that, oh, Evolve was announced already. What's the big deal when they put it up against AEW? They announced it months ago. Yeah, but you're not getting the grand scheme of what is fucked up here. I don't understand why people are so illogical. WWE knew that they were running against Fight for the Fallen. The anniversary of Evolve isn't even on that date. It's not even on that date. It's back in January. But they're running the show anyway. It's alright if they run the show. It's alright if they run the show the same night as Fight for the Fallen. The thing is, doesn't matter when the show was announced. It doesn't matter when the show's taking place. What matters is that WWE has been talking about putting other companies on their network for over 2 years now. Now, in July, on that date, July 13th, now, in 2019, they decide to you know what, we're going to put Evolve on the network on that date and fuck everything else that's happening that day. That's the fucked up thing about it, folks. 2 years has been talked about, and now all of a sudden WWE wants to pull the trigger. I wonder why. The Wrestling Observer newsletter notes that the WWE has been discussing airing Evolve on the WWE Network for a very long time. This is dating back to the creation of Flow Slam. Remember them? Yeah, not anymore. This is very interesting because they suddenly decided to air an event on July 13th. It was noted that the involvement with Evolve is nothing new, but it certainly matches WWE's MO. I'm not surprised by what Vince McMahon decided to do here. This is typical Vince McMahon. Let's run against a competitor. It's fine. It's fine. He can do whatever the fuck he wants. It's his company. I'm just telling everybody that wants to pinpoint shit on me and blast me, why are you complaining about it so much? It's because it's, in theory, fucked up. And I side with Kenny Omega on this. Oh, Kenny Omega's a bitch. Kenny Omega is a fucking, salty fuck. He's triggered. Whatever. Just fucking immature comments from fucking plebeians with a fucking pee for brain. It's what you are. It's not about being salty. It's about WWE acting like AEW doesn't exist, but everything that they do, they bring more attention to AEW. And they know that they're there in their rearview mirror. And the fact that AEW is not making any business, WWE's business, any of their business WWE's and vice versa, they're merely doing a fucking show for charity that was announced back in February. This show was announced back in February, Fight for the Fallen. And the reason why Fight for the Fallen was happening. Charity. And now, after 2 years, right, before AEW was even a fucking thought, now you want to run against AEW. Give me a break. It was noted that the involvement with Evolve is nothing new, but it certainly matches WWE's MO. They have aired counter-programming from many other competitors throughout the years, from AWA to WCW. Now it appears AEW is getting the same treatment. It was noted that this was the first and likely won't be the last time WWE does this. For all those people trying to defend WWE running opposite of AEW's charity events, the proof is pretty indisputable when you look at the facts as pointed out on the Wrestling Observer newsletter. The issue isn't the live show, but the fact that WWE has never run a non-WWE live event on the network. This is the idea that WWE is going with. They wanted to do it, and now, after 2 years, now you do it. That's the issue, folks. The idea is that it's in Philadelphia. Now, this is just a plausible excuse, a believable one, but now you're stretching. Now you're really stretching to make excuses here. The idea is that it's in Philadelphia. Evolve 131 is going to be in Philadelphia, the same city which runs Extreme Rules from the next day, or that WWE's running Extreme Rules the very next day. So the production people will be there early. McMahon's issue has always been the idea of seeing what he considers minor league wrestling on his major league platform. But this will be a WWE-produced event, headlined by top-level WWE talent, so that issue isn't there. Undisputed Era is going to be there. Matt Riddle versus Drew Gulak is announced for the Cruiserweight Championship. So, clearly, WWE is running this show with WWE top-tier talent. So, minor league promotion? I don't think so. And the fact that they're putting top-level WWE guys on this show is even worse for WWE in the end. They really made themselves look like a bunch of fucking idiots. They made themselves look really fucking bad as far as a PR move goes. It's easy for WWE to air Evolve since it's in Philly, and WWE will have their production team there for Extreme Rules anyway, or Extreme Fools anyway. So, we'll have to wait and see what type of numbers Fight for the Fallen will be able to pull in with competition from the WWE Network, because although it is an Evolve event, there will still be an NXT title match with Adam Cole versus Akira Tozawa. I might have to watch that show too and review that event, because I think that sounds great. So, we'll talk about that come July. Now, if AEW is able to pull in some strong numbers for Fight for the Fallen despite the WWE competition, then it could further prove that AEW's fan base consists of a different crop of fans who wouldn't have watched whatever the WWE was putting on the network anyway. AEW is targeting the lapsed fan, as they also create new ones with crossover events like Fyter Fest in affiliation with the CEO events happening today on Saturday. People, WWE's fucked up, and my buddy Jesse put it best. If WWE really wants to make good on what they're doing here, then all proceeds from their show should go to the same charity or a charity of their choice to do exactly what AEW is doing. Whether it goes to the same charity that AEW is doing or a different charity of their choosing, Connor's Cure, whatever. All the proceeds or part of the proceeds from the show that Evolve is putting on goes to Connor's Cure. And then WWE could solve that fucking issue like that. But they don't. And they won't. And they did it on purpose. They did it on purpose no matter how you look at it. Evolve could have announced this show fucking 5 years ago. And WWE could have been talking about putting Evolve on the network for 5 years. Now, coincidentally, on the same night that Fight for the Fallen has happened, you're going to air Evolve. I find that to be very, very, very peculiar. And the same thing WWE did with NXT UK and their Cardiff show, TakeOver. You don't think that was done purposely? Come on. No matter what excuses they pull, oh, we had this locked in, we wanted to see what was going on with the venue, blah, 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 blah. It's all bullshit. You knew August 31st, the moment that show was announced in Chicago, and you did it purposely. No matter what the issue is, no matter what the excuse is, you did it purposely because you're looking at every which way to take some thunder away from AEW. And it said in the report from the newsletter. This is Vince McMahon's MO. If that wasn't the case, then those shows wouldn't be running on the same day. It's Vince McMahon's MO. He probably realized with Fight for the Fallen and this Evolve show, fuck him. And he probably seen or heard from one of his fucking goons. He got back to Vince. Vince, AEW's running Chicago August 31st. So he got to Triple H and had Triple H institute that TakeOver Cardiff happen on the same night. There you go. Give me a break. The proof is in the pudding, folks, is what they say, right? There you go. Speaking of AEW, man, AEW and WWE have major interest in LAX. Few people really came into their own on Impact Wrestling over the last year like LAX. Ortiz and Santana had an Impact Tag Team title run that was probably the longest, I believe, in company history, beating Bobby Roode and James Storm. Reign lasted, I think, the 240 days or something like that. I had it in my House of Glory notes because I used that when LAX was performing for House of Glory. It's a pretty impressive title run that LAX had over in Impact Wrestling. The Lucha Brothers feud was great. The feud with the OGs was great. However, a team with that type of talent could be great anywhere. They don't need Impact. And I'm telling you right now, 100%, I know, confirmed, they are not going back to Impact. You don't even have to be a company insider, or you don't even have to know them personally. You know that they're not going back to Impact. Because I know Impact can't pay them. If they can't pay Killer Cross what he wants, they're not going to fucking pay LAX. They can't pay Scarlett Bordeaux, who got released. They're not going to pay LAX. Give me a break. LAX has done everything that they can. They reached their limit. They reached their ceiling. It's not going to happen over there. They're too good to be stifled by Impact Wrestling. Give me a break. I think they'd like to know that they can have their matches called by Morrow or Jim Ross and not fucking Josh Matthews. Anyway, the Wrestling Observer newsletter reports that LAX's contract is up this summer. At that time, they could have a very serious decision to make because both AEW and WWE are said to be interested in acquiring their services. You don't say. And the sky's fucking blue. LAX's contract expires later this summer, which is a key one because their stock has been greatly upped over the past several years. AEW, WWE, interest is there, clearly, for obvious reasons. You gotta be a fucking blind idiot not to see why. AEW is big on tag teams in their tag team division. Tony Khan even said night one on TNT, tag team title tournament. I love it. I got a fucking hard on in my pants already just by that announcement alone. And WWE is big on signing everyone to keep them away from everybody else. That's why they want LAX. Now it's going to be interesting to see where LAX lands. Will they be Elite? Or will they be NXT? Folks, clearly we all know they're not going back to Impact. And I know where they're going, but I'm not going to reveal where they're going. I'm not. But I have a hunch. I don't know confirmed, but I know people who know people who know people, and I have a hunch on where they're going. Those guys deserve to make all the money in the world. Those guys deserve to be on the biggest platform possible for them to be as successful as they can be, with absolutely nobody stopping anything that they're going to do. If they go to WWE, they have to think about what WWE is doing right now as far as tag team wrestling. Tag team wrestling does not exist on the main roster. If they go to NXT, there's no doubt in my mind Triple H is going to take care of them, and they're going to be absolutely fucking taken care of. They're going to put on some of the best fucking matches, tag team-wise, that you'll ever see. I swear on my fucking grandfather's tomb. Believe me, there's nobody in this business like LAX that gets the crowd going like they do. If they're in NXT at a takeover, they are takeover quality personified. Believe me. Believe me. You put them against Undisputed Era, you put them against the Street Profits, you put them against anybody. Anybody. It could be Eichner and fucking Bartel. It could be Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch. It could be the Street Profits. It could be the Forgotten Sons. It could be anybody. They're going to tear the fucking house down at a takeover with any of those teams. If they go to WWE, they will probably be ruined. And they'll probably be looked at as two outcasts, and they'll be treated like shit. They'll be the next Ascension. And I don't want to see that happen. Now, who's to say what their decision is? They have all summer to make a decision. And maybe with this new Bischoff-Heyman regime in WWE, maybe that WWE move is a little bit more enticing to them than it was a couple of months ago, when they knew what their fate would be if they made Vince McMahon's Raw and Smackdown. But if they go to All Elite Wrestling, you know that they are going to excel, and they're going to be placed in a position right away as one of the best tag teams in the world. Lucha Brothers are over there. The Bucks are over there. The Best Friends are over there. Everybody is going over there. The Revival's going over there. The Good Brothers are going over there. Tag team wrestling is going to be thriving on AEW television. What is beneficial to LAX? NXT with a possible ceiling on you when you get to the main roster? And you've seen better days within 2 or 3 years and that's it? Or you continue to grow 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years with AEW and you become the best tag team on the fucking planet, where your stock has risen even more, and when you want to make the jump to WWE, if things have changed and the Grim Reaper has taken Vince McMahon out of the fucking chair, maybe you could go over there and excel over there and make more money and do what you need to do and bring that brand over to WWE. Maybe Triple H will be in charge by that time. I don't know. All I could say is my opinion on this is do what is best for you now. Wherever you go, you add value. You know that. Do what you need to do for yourselves now. Do not think about what is possibly going to stop you. There is absolutely nothing in this fucking sport that could stop two guys like this from exceeding. And if there is even a worry about that happening, then that's not the right decision. You go to AEW. That's where I think they're going to end up. And if they end up, AEW has got not only the best tag team division in the world, in any promotion, but they might have just sealed contracts with the best tag team on the planet right now. And I mean that wholeheartedly. I don't mean that because they work for House of Glory and they held the House of Glory tag team titles for 2 years. Doesn't mean that, I got to call their matches and I got to think highly of them. I've seen them work. Every House of Glory event that I've called, the best match of the night, the majority of the time, has gone to LAX. That's how good they are. We'll see what happens. I say go to AEW and leave WWE for themselves to get themselves right. If they can't get themselves right, then you aren't right for them. Go to AEW. Finally, guys, we're going to get out of here. WWE, and we'll end with this. WWE reportedly considering Matt Riddle call up for SmackDown's move to Fox. I don't know how much sense this makes, but it goes in line with what I stated with the exodus of NXT talents being called up in October. Brad Shepard is reporting that WWE is interested in bringing Riddle to the main roster so he can be on SmackDown Live going into the Fox deal. According to a source in WWE, the company is interested in promoting Matt Riddle to the main roster going into Fox. As I previously reported on the Oh You Didn't Know podcast, he'll eventually get his chance as long as his inappropriate tweeting was a lesson learned. End quote. Now, I don't know how true this is. I don't think this is really likely right now. I'd give Riddle doesn't need any time in NXT, to be honest with you, but just in theory, I would keep him down there for a full year just to do what he's got to do. But I want to at least see Riddle with one NXT championship run. But to bring him up to SmackDown Live, it kind of goes with what I mentioned with the Exodus. I could see it happening, and I could see Fox definitely requesting Matt Riddle for his UFC background. And Matt Riddle is looked at as a guy that is fucking legit. And if Fox's directive is WWE needs to be a little bit more legit and a little bit more sports directed, Matt Riddle definitely fits into Fox's vision and what they want WWE's vision to be. Riddle fits into that like a fucking glove. But if he's on SmackDown Live, then that means he's away from Brock Lesnar, because Brock Lesnar's probably going to be on Monday Night Raw. Now, Brock Lesnar could eventually move to SmackDown Live, but I don't see that happening if Heyman is running Raw. And Heyman is going to be an executive director of Raw. That means Lesnar's probably going to stay on Raw with Heyman. Now, these shows need to have separate identities, two separate brands, They need to not even fucking know about each other. They need to be fucking those distant relatives that you never fucking hear from ever. Only on the holidays. And WWE's holiday needs to be Survivor Series. Survivor Series got a nice little thing going on with the brand warfare. And if WWE gets back to making distinctive fucking brands, separate brands, where Survivor Series can live up to the fucking brand warfare name, imagine if Matt Riddle gets moved to SmackDown and he's on SmackDown for a full year, becomes the WWE champion, and Brock Lesnar, per se, is the Universal Champion. It doesn't even need to happen at Survivor Series. It could be one of those things where if the brands were separated long enough, you know, Survivor Series does the champion versus champion situation, but if you don't want to do that and put the title on Lesnar and have them meet at Survivor Series, if the brands are separate for long enough, and we see Matt Riddle show up on Monday Night Raw during WrestleMania season somewhere, just randomly, and he issues a challenge to Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, I think that's a big deal. I think that's a really big deal. But who knows when that's going to happen, because we all know that Brock Lesnar is not going anywhere. He's not going to the UFC. He probably inked another WWE deal for himself where he's making fucking $10 million a year. So I like this move. It's just got to make sense. Just got to make sense. But if it doesn't make sense, keep Riddle down in NXT and let him run through a few of those guys down there. Let him continue to build his equity. Let him continue to build his name. Get him an NXT title run. I'd love to see another Matt Riddle versus Adam Cole match. What's the rush? Again, I'm going to repeat myself from the beginning. What is the rush in bringing these guys up when you got fucking over 24 wrestlers that you're not even using right now? Use the fucking first and second crop of NXT talent that you called up first. Then worry about where these new ones fit into your current plan on the main roster. Simple. It's not that difficult to figure out. Riddle's going to be big. I don't think we need to rush him because we all know what the guy's capable of. Keep him in NXT. But the Lesnar-Riddle situation, like I said, I could definitely see Riddle fitting into SmackDown Live because he fits their new directive that WWE needs to start undertaking. I'm getting out of here, guys. Thank you so very much for all of your support. If you enjoyed the video, hit that thumbs up. Off the Script's been great this weekend, man. I love the quality of these shows. I love the fact that I just have all this shit ready for you guys. I'm glad I can fucking spend the weekend with you. Not really, but yeah, you know what I mean. But we got a lot to go over. More to come. I got more to come this weekend. You'll see me again on Sunday for Fyter Fest. And then I'm going to have an Off the Script extra on Monday as well. So you'll see me for Fyter Fest. We'll go over what happened with Fyter Fest and AEW. Follow me on social media, man. At JD from NY206. That's both on Twitter and Instagram. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell for all notifications. And while you're at it, hit the join button as well on the YouTube channel. Become a member. Harrys.com/script for your $13 value trial set. And if you guys want to go check out all the other videos that you might have missed, please go click the annotation, little I, in the top right corner. Everything you need will be right there, including yesterday's great rant on Seth Rollins on part 1. Thank you guys so very much, man. I will see you all tomorrow for AEW Fyter Fest. Until then, enjoy your Saturdays. I'll see you guys tomorrow for All Elite Wrestling. See you then.